So, as I'm recording this week's episode of Your Power Packed Podlets, I'm actually recording it on Monday, about an hour before I drop the podlet, which is super unusual. Usually, I either record it in advance or I record it early in the morning on the Monday because I start my week with so much energy, having just had 2 days off. I actually love Mondays, and I get a week's worth of work done in one day, and then I'm able to rest for the rest of the week and just like work on this and that. Of course, I'm still working on my business, but I've got so much of the potent stuff done on day one that the rest of the week it's got that gentler momentum. And today is totally different. So those of you who've been watching my stories, you will have seen that I've just been in Cologne, Germany. I literally landed a few hours ago. And I've been at this incredible 4-day motivational event. There's between 13,000 and 14,000 people there, like super high energy, lots of music and dancing and singing and shouting and crying. And it's been super long days. This is the first time in so many years that I've set my alarm 6 days in a row. As even as a business owner, I wake up naturally in the mornings. I do not set an alarm. I still wake up early, and I wake up naturally when my body is ready to get out of bed. And it's an absolute delight. That's not the subject for today. We can talk about this another day, but I've set up my business model and my lifestyle model in a way that I don't have to set an alarm, and it's a blessing. So it's been a bit of a shock setting an alarm 6 days in a row, having these really long days. It's like 12, 14, 15-hour days. And then because it's such high energy, it's fun getting to sleep after all of that. So today is Monday, and it's usually the day where I'm getting so much work done, and I've landed, and instead of going straight in to working on my business, I got home and I sat down, I had a little bit of food, and I turned the television on a Monday, and I watched a period drama. You know, a period drama, there's no violence, and it's easy to watch. And it's funny because even in this, so many powerful messages have come through to share with you. And in fact, it reinforced a really powerful message that came through to share with you from the event itself. And it is about decision making. So I'm not going to tell you what series it was in case you end up watching it. I don't want to ruin the end for you. But it was the last episode of this series. And the closing scene was a reflection of the life of the two protagonists, the two main characters. And it was a reflection on how many magical moments they'd experienced together because one of them made a decision. So this was an arranged marriage. And just as they were about to get married, near the beginning of the series, the woman of the couple, she wanted to run away. And she had this moment where she had the opportunity to make a decision, to either run away and go back to life as she'd always known it, or to stay and get married and not know the outcome of that decision. Now, had she run away and gone back to her old life, she knew what she was going back to. And instead, she decided to stay and take a risk, to take a risk on marrying the King of England. So fast forward to this last episode, and this couple had fallen madly in love. They'd become this incredible team. They'd had this huge family together, and they were about to have a grandchild. And it ended with the both of them reflecting on that one decision that she'd made to stay and the life path that they'd both experienced and all the other lives that had been impacted because of that one decision. And that's when the series ended. And the reason I wanted to come in and share this with you is I invite you for a moment to pause and reflect on a decision in your life that you've made, that had you not made that decision, your life would look entirely different now. And I'm not talking about decision that required you to do 1,000 things before that decision was clear. I mean a decision that was either go for it and do it now, or don't do it and it's done with. One of those moments in time when you decided to go all in with a decision and your life has never been the same since. Can you anchor into one? Because I believe I've been going on live on Instagram, and I'm going to be doing this a lot more. By the way, if you don't follow me on Instagram, I highly recommend you do, because I'm going to be going live more regularly there and sharing a lot of value, stories, insights, and all of those things. There's already 2 lives on there that you can tap into that I know you're going to love, and you're going to have lots of aha moments come through for you. And one of the stories I shared on one of the lives is a decision that I made in my past that completely changed the trajectory of my life. In fact, this one decision I made that initially was to do with my own emotional and physical well-being then impacted the career that I chose, the hundreds, if not thousands of lives that I impacted with that career path, and the physical, mental, and emotional state I now am in because of that one decision that I made. And that decision was when I was 19 years old to enroll in a gym. Instead of choosing to be the victim of the fact that I'd put on a load of weight and I wasn't feeling great in my health and in my body, instead of choosing to be a victim of that, I decided to do something about it. And I decided to have a lot of fun doing it. And I signed up to the gym and I went every day, and it became my routine at the end of my day of studying. I'd go to the gym, I'd be there for an hour, and then I'd go home and I'd eat healthy food. And that one decision led me to then become a nutritional expert, a personal trainer, a yoga teacher, a massage therapist, a spiritual mentor. That one decision created the domino effect of so many others. And of course, now at 42 years old, living in this strong, mobile, healthy body, it all comes from that one decision. And the reason I'm sharing this with you is I see so many of you waiting to make the decision to go for it in your business. You're waiting for the planets to align. You're waiting for the moment that things feel right. Maybe you're already doing the stuff in your business, and there's this one decision that you're waiting to make for the perfect moment, the perfect timing, to launch the web page, to reach out for a collaboration with somebody, to put your brand live on Instagram, to shift your ideal client messaging, to whatever it is, that decision you keep putting off. Maybe you're not, and maybe this message landing, you're like, no, Rachel, I'm not that sort of person. I follow through on my decisions. F yes. And if that's the case, I invite you to really reinforce that in yourself, because empowered decision making is what's not only going to make you incredibly successful in business, it's going to help you a lot in your mind and in your body. I'm going to cough for a moment. In your mind and in your body. Because I see so, and this used to be me, I see so many business owners thinking so much, spending so much time considering things, and it is slowing you down. You do not need to consider everything. You don't need to understand everything. You don't need to wait for the things. Just go for it. When I decided to enroll in the gym, I literally had no clue what to do. But I signed up and I paid and I committed. And I stayed committed. And it didn't matter that I was a student and I didn't have that much money to be spending on that sort of thing. Or in the coming years when I was traveling, I was always signing up to a gym and paying for the membership. And if I could pay for a full year in advance, if I could pay for 6 months in advance, whatever the longest period of time you could pay for was, I would pay that. I would find a way to pay the money. And it's the same I do in the coaching spaces I'm in. I'm somebody who pays in full from day one if I can, and if not, I pay it off as quickly as I can, because this is what makes us successful. in business is deciding that when you're going in, when you're stepping in, you're making a decision with something, that you're in it non-circumstantially, in the good times, in bad, in sickness, in health, that you're going all in on your business, on your dreams. I'm not talking about overworking and burning yourself out. Of course you rest. And look, I just watched a series on a Monday. I rest. But there is no doubt in my mind when I make a decision that I'm going to be successful, there is no doubt in my mind. There's no all bridges have been burned, all boats have been burned. I used to say this when I first started working with my coaching clients. The word decision originates from Latin, and it means to cut all other options off. In English, we talk about burning bridges and burning the boats. Yeah. Most people don't have the courage to burn the boats and to burn the bridges. Most people leave options to feel safe. Oh, but I can still do this. I can still work here. I can still do that. And this is what gets in the way. When you burn all bridges and you have no other options, you find a way to make your business work. You find a way. Back in quarantine, when the business that I had up until quarantine collapsed, and I found myself in a position where I couldn't pay my rent. I was very lucky to have a nice landlord who allowed me to split the cost of that rent once money was coming in again. I couldn't pay rent. I didn't even have money to put food on my table. And I did not go back and work for somebody else. Did it cross my mind? Of course it did. There were times I remember coming back from working a really long day and I still didn't have enough money to pay rent. And I was exhausted. And I've got this really clear memory of walking over the bridge, and it was a hot day and my body was just in pieces. I was literally crying as I was walking home, thinking I just want somebody else to take the responsibility of paying me a wage. I don't want to carry this anymore. I remember that feeling. And I got home and I allowed myself to feel it all. And then I sat and I imagined what it would be like to work for somebody else. I sat and I imagined what it'd be like to set my alarm every single morning and go and work on somebody else's dream. And I said, fuck no. And I found a way. I found a way to make my business work. I found a way to build things up. There was no way I was going to rebuild that bridge back to working for someone else and not having time to build my business. And did it mean that I had to ask for loans? Yes, it did. Because this is the thing, is sometimes we go half in on our dreams. We don't want to ask for the support. We don't want to look for the options so that the bridges are burned and we're moving forwards. And then the months pass and the years pass and the years pass and the years pass. For some of you, you're in a place right now and like, I know this. And others, this message is going to be landing heavy and hard. But one of the exercises we did in this event was to feel the pain of indecision, to feel the pain of continuing to buy into the beliefs that we couldn't have what we wanted, to buy into the beliefs that were not moving us forwards. And it really helped me connect deeply, deeply, deeply with back in 2010. For those of you who don't know, I was at a Tony Robbins event. And although his message for me now is maybe not the message that really lights me up, back in 2010, it fucking changed my life. I was in a really hard place. And I remember finding him on YouTube And I binged watched everything that I could because what he was saying was what I needed to understand about the functioning of my mind so that I wouldn't fall back into the deep, deep pit of depression again. And because the pain of the memory of depression was so strong, the driving force in me, I was not willing to go back there. I was not willing to tolerate that level of deep discomfort, of self-hatred. I was not going there again. And so when it came to the suggestions that he made, I was all in. For me, all other options were burned. It was that or nothing. And so everything that he suggested, the morning practices, the evening practices, the state changes, the looking at my beliefs, the mindset, everything, I did it every day, every moment. Every moment I catch myself. I'm not tolerating that. I'm not tolerating that. And I rewired the functioning of my subconscious mind, and I rewired the functioning of my nervous system because the decision had been made. So sometimes the pain that you're moving away from is not apparently strong enough for you to do the things to cut off all other options other than move forwards on your dreams. And so sometimes it requires that somebody comes in and prods you a little bit or a lot. How much do you want to be prodded? Do you want to look back in 5 years' time and go, shit, what could have been? Is that good enough for you? Where do you want to be at the end of this year and in the end of 2 years? And what's the decision you're making now, today, so that that future is possible for you? Where are you going too easy on yourself? Where are you being too nice? Where are you choosing to be too comfortable? And the reason I'm sharing this message isn't because, yeah, that's what everyone says and it's about motivation, is because I know how hard it is when you're struggling financially, or you're struggling with your business, or you're struggling with working in a job that you hate, or I know what all of that feels like, and I do not want that for you. This event has really reinforced in me the importance of bringing the message, of reminding people, of being that voice, to be of service. And so with this message, my desire is to be of service to those of you who are maybe only going half in on your dreams. I know it's hard sometimes. I know, I get it. I invite you to wake up each morning and make a clear decision. What is it you want, and what are you going to do about it to get it? Who do you choose to be today to make sure that you get what you want and you don't give up? So, signing off for today. Tomorrow, Tuesday, is the first day of the 30-day trial in the school. We've got 9 incredible women signed up. I cannot wait, if you're listening to this, to share this month with you and beyond, whatever comes next. I will share my Instagram link in the description below for those of you that you're not following me yet and you want to tap into the lives. I invite you to follow me and go to the reels and look for day 1. It's going to be about 4 or 5 reels back. And I invite you to listen in. I have a feeling the messages are going to land deeply for you. I'll see you all next week.